All right, my friends, you know who it is. It's Kelly Park. I wanted to do a different video today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the books that I've been reading. You see, at the end of 2014, I decided that I was going to read 50 books in 2015. It sounds crazy. And once again, I'm not one of those people who decide that I'm going to read like a book a week and blow my brains out of my head. I don't really do that kind of stuff. What I did was I decided to read 4 books a month, and I felt like that would be kind of manageable. I will, read 10 pages a day, and if at the end of the month, if I needed to, then I would just read a little bit faster. But if you try to read 4 books a month, it really is not as big as people or what you may think it sounds like. Anyways, I wanted to touch a little bit about on what books you actually should be reading. I feel like people are going like all over the place and reading books on like how to be a millionaire, how to be successful, and all these other things. And the truth is, you don't really have to read those kind of books. Like for instance, I read My Story by Helen Keller. And honestly, that is probably the most inspirational, motivational book out there, but yet no one really talks about it. I've broken it down to about 5 categories that someone should cover. And those categories are culture. You should read something that has to do with the history of you. So if you're Irish, you should read about the history of Irish people. If you are Pakistani, then you should read about the history of Pakistan, people from Pakistan. Me, for instance, I read books written by John Hendrik Clark, books on by Marcus Garvey. He wrote his philosophy was written by his wife after he died, and I felt like I got a lot of from that. One of the books I have here is called Black on Black Violence by Amos Wilson. This book is like mind-blowing good. This book taught me a lot about myself, the situation of black people, and things like that. And this is just an example of me reading about my own culture and my own background. Another thing I think that people should read about is the opposite sex. I only can speak for guys, but I feel like guys get caught up in this picking up girls kind of thing and like banging chicks kind of thing. And there's there's more to women than sex. And you would understand that if you read about women, just like how they think, how they feel, how they analyze problems. If you do these kind of things, I guarantee you actually, and very few things in life are guaranteed, I guarantee you that your understanding of women would literally skyrocket. I read Persuasion by Arlene Dickinson. Arlene Dickinson is one of the dragons on Dragon's Den. I don't know if she's still there, but last time I saw that she was there. And actually, I think she's on Shark Tank now. But Arlene Dickinson wrote a book called Persuasion. It should be on everyone's top 10 list for like the next 10 years. The way she writes, you get an understanding and you get a clear perspective on how a woman analyzes a problem, how a woman sees herself in the business world, and quite honestly, you see all the characteristics and all the attributes that women actually bring into society in that one book. Another book I would like to mention is it's called The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf. I don't actually have it here, but it stands out in my mind on opening up my view on what challenges women face on a daily basis when it comes to things like beauty. I don't think men face things like beauty. Like, look at the shirt that I'm wearing. I don't think about beauty, And I think it's just one thing that guys don't realize how much pressure women are under when it comes to the topic of beauty. So far I said Naomi Wolf and The Beauty Myth and Arlene Dickinson's Persuasion. Another thing people should read about is personal finance. I feel like when we talk about money, people start getting all like I don't really want to talk about that, and I don't know where that feeling comes from. I know with me personally, I feel like my opinion on money has been conditioned like in my childhood. Like my father used to talk a lot like really bad about rich people, And like he had this hate for Don King. Anytime Don King was on TV, he would be like, that MF for that, F for this and F that. He has $1 million. He's trying to take everyone else's money. Now you remember me as a little kid listening to this. I don't want money because my dad doesn't like people who have money. So, and I want to please my dad, don't I? So thereby I don't want money. And it took a while for me to uncondition that, because let's face it, money is a part of life. Now, I will never sit anywhere and tell anyone that money is going to bring you happiness, or money is going to solve your problems. Money ain't going to do none of that kind of stuff. But you know what money is going to do? Money is going to give you time so you can discover yourself. Money is going to give you the freedom to relax. You know what I want to do all day? You may differ with me, but you know what a relaxing day to me is watching interviews by entrepreneurs while I sit on my floor and stretch all day. Like, I mean, leg stretches, arm stretches. Yeah, you heard me correctly. I want to stretch all day and listen to people talk about how they came from nothing to something. That's what I'd rather do. But I cannot do that if I don't have money myself. You know, so understanding personal finance. Like, I got this book right here. It's called Personal Finance for Dummies. I know it's hilarious because it's for dummies, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is an amazing series, because the way they break down everything, you would have to be a dummy not to understand it. And it's one of my favorite books, Personal Finance for Dummies. One of my role models is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is a guy that I find, he blows my mind. Because if you look at the top 100 richest people in North America, they get rich by 3 different ways. They get rich either through stocks, real estate, or they build a small business and turn it into a big business like Microsoft or something. If you look at Warren Buffett actually saved his money into the wealthy category. Right now, I think he's the 3rd richest man in the world. And he did that by saving his money. He didn't invent anything. He didn't, build buildings like Donald Trump or anything. He literally saved his money and invested it. Now, that's once again, if we're going back to dummies, that's any dummy could do that. Save your money and put it in the right spots and watch it grow. And who Warren Buffett learned from was from this guy, the intelligent investor, Benjamin Graham. This was actually Warren Buffett's first teacher, who taught him how to pick stocks, how to evaluate companies, and things of that nature. And I'm telling you right now that I think that is another thing outside of the motivational, inspirational topics. Those are the things that you should be looking at. Because honestly, we live in a world where finances matter. If you want to explore this world, and I truly encourage everyone to explore this world, because this planet belongs to you as much as it belongs to anyone else. You should climb a pyramid in Egypt. You should go scuba diving in the Philippines. You should box a kangaroo in Australia. Do whatever you want to do, because this is your planet as much as it is anyone else's. No one is better than you, and you are not better than anybody, and no one's lower than you, right? So get up, get out there, and get those finances in order. All right, that's how I'm going to close on that one. Now, my other book is Sam Walton's Made in America. This is the guy who invented Walmart. He's another guy who came from nothing to something. Now, the amazing thing about this book, you know where I got this book? I got this book in the Toronto Reference Library for $1. $1 I spent on this book. There's a used bookstore inside the Toronto Reference Library. I spent $1 on this book, and this book is actually the business model that I follow with every business that I start. If I look to invest in another company, I look to see if they follow this business model, and I learned all that for $1. So get out there, pick a role model, someone who's started from nothing to something, and pick them apart. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like the person. I don't even know this man. I don't know him to like him. But what I do know is what he did worked. And I want to start doing things that work in my life, right? Another book, another category is revolutionaries. My favorite revolutionary, his name is H. Rap Brown. He's actually in prison right now. I think he's 80-something years old, and he's in prison right now. Now, this man has done more for black people, then probably your popular names, like let's say Martin Luther King. He's done more than Martin Luther King. He's probably done more than, I don't know about Malky. I don't want to say Malcolm X. I don't want to get hate mail. But he's up there. I would say he's up there with the Kings. He's up there with the X. He's up there with Elaine Brown. He's up there with Kathleen Cleaver. He's up there. And he's in prison right now, and probably no one ever writes him a letter about anything, and he's done more for black Americans, or he's done more for revolutionary or done more for the revolutionary establishment than most people are aware of. And he has a book. Somebody asked me a question. The question was, if I was on an island and I had one book, which book would I bring with me? And it is H. Rap Brown's book. His book is called Die Nigger Die. And that's not a joke. That's his actual book. This book I have here is Anthony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. You know how I got this book? An alcoholic sold me this book for $6, I think. It was at a garage sale. He was stumbling drunk, selling a bunch of his stuff. And I picked up this book. I think his writing is actually still in it. Yeah, that's all his writing is in it. I picked up this book and I was like, hey, buddy, how much? He's like, $10. I'm like, $10 for this book? Look at it. And he goes, all right, $6. I pulled out $5 at a loony and I took it. And this book, as you already know, if you don't know by now, Tony Robbins is a god when it comes to pulling someone out of the gutter, teaching them self-worth, and pushing them along. I don't know what year you're going to see this video. This is 2015. I saw Tony Robbins on September 16, 2015, and it literally changed my life. He lit a fire under my ass. No joke. I probably wouldn't be doing these videos if I didn't go see him on September 16 of 2015. Here's my last book and my last category. This is The History of Man, Evolutionary Psychology. This talks about how we, like 10,000 years ago, how we did things, how we communicated with each other before we decided not to communicate with each other, when we decided to stick our heads down in Texas and kept our eyes glued to screens, when we actually had to work together and formulate communities and whatnot. This is what this is all about. Why we fall in love with each other. Why do we feel it necessary for war? Why do we feel better in some climates and not in others? It's all in here. It's all in our DNA programming. And this is a wonderful thing to know. Since you're a human being, you should know why you do the things that you do, right? It makes perfect sense. Anyways, I'm going to close off with that. Those are the categories of books that I think that you should dive into. I personally don't think you should read like 100 books in a month. I think you should pick these 5 categories. What is culture, the opposite sex. So if you're a woman, you should read about it being like, you know, how it is to be a man. And the third one's finance. The fourth is a role model, like what I showed with Sam Walton. And the fifth is a revolutionary. And there's so many revolutionaries. If you think that we got to the way society is by simply voting for the right person, you need to give your head a shake. There's a lot of people who died. There's a lot of people who got burnt, killed, had to run away to live, for us to live the way we live right now. So investigate one of these revolutionaries and read their life story. All right? I'm Kelly Park. I'm signing off. I love you guys.